Hello, Algebra 2 people. Today we're talking about sampling. There will be 5 different types of sampling that we'll go through starting in the next slide. It's usually not possible to survey every person or object for a study. Could you imagine if we wanted to survey all of the people in the world? I mean, look at them all here, and that's not even a good representation. We could not do that. And recall that when I survey everybody, it's called a census. And maybe that's why the census in the United States is only every 10 years, because it's just a lot of work to try to get everybody to fill it out and complete it. So instead of doing a census, which is surveying everyone, we're going to sample people. So we have 5 different types of sampling, and the first one is random sampling. This is the preferred way of sampling people, but it is often difficult to do. An example of this would be putting everyone's name into a hat, or nowadays probably in a computer database, and drawing out several names or randomly picking names. The computer would randomly generate a list of names. Each element in the population, so the population would be the list of names in the hat, everyone in there has an equal chance of getting picked. It requires a complete list of every element in the population, and the computer usually generates the lists. So that's random sampling. This is the best way to sample things if you can do it this way. Systematic sampling is where you like line everybody up, or like a list of names, and you take every, in this case, third person or third item on the list. So I list them all up, I count them off, and every kth element, for example, every fourth, every third, every fifth, whatever, person would be surveyed. Person or object would be picked if we're trying to test something on an object. It is easier to do than random sampling because I just have the list of names and I just pick every X spot. So in this case here, you can see we did every third spot. So number 3, number 6, and number 9 are all surveyed. Provide some sort of randomness in the picking of the people, but still not as good as an actual random sample. It's just easier to complete. Here's a convenience sample. This one is the easiest to do, but it doesn't give you the best results of like in relation to the population. So here's the researcher right here, and he or she is just going to survey everyone right around them. So convenient sampling, readily available data is used, and the first people the surveyor runs into are surveyed. Again, not the best for reporting statistics because you're only getting the people right around you here. So there's a lot of bias in this. For example, if we were to survey everybody in the IGA that was coming out of the IGA and ask them about festival foods or something like that, they might be very biased because they're supporting their local grocery store and they don't want to run to Green Bay or whatever. So not the best way to sample people. The fourth one is called cluster sampling. This is accomplished by dividing the population into groups, usually geographically, like areas. These groups are called clusters or blocks. And then once you get your cluster of people, then you usually randomly select from inside the cluster, and then each of these elements are used. So for example, we've got some states chosen up here. And then inside each of the states, we're randomly selecting cities and towns and counties. And then we're randomly selecting schools within there. And then after that, we're randomly selecting students within each school. So, pretty good way of sampling things. But again, you could still see where maybe it's not the best representation of all of the people. Because you're going to run into like the different biases that the different areas of the United States have. So of course you've got the South and the North and then the West, and sometimes these different states have different ideas of how to do things. Even within each state, we sometimes see differences between cities and rural areas, for instance. So just another way of sampling. The last one is called stratified sampling. It also divides people up into groups. This time they're called strata. However, it's done by a characteristic and not by geography. So for instance, a population might be separated into males and females. Or in this case over here, we have them separated by their grade level, right? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. By the way, the SRS stands for stratified random sample. So it's a type of random sample that had some things done to it before it was randomly chosen. So a sample is taken from either of these strata using either random, systematic, or convenience. So stratified and cluster are like ways of grouping people. And then after that, you use random, systematic, or convenience to pick the people out of the groups. All right, here's a problem for us to try. We're supposed to match the description of how the sample was obtained with the correct sampling method on the right. So we have our 5 sampling methods, and we need to go through each of these and figure out who's who. So put me on pause and figure it out for yourself, and then start playing it again and see if you got it right. Here are the answers. So IGA customers as they enter the store. So I'm standing right here by the door of the IGA and I'm just waiting for people to come to me. And as they're coming to me, I'm serving them. So that is convenience because I'm just waiting for the people to come to me and I'm serving the ones right around me. All right, the second one, every 5th person on a voter registry list. So I have a list of people and I'm counting them off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, grabbing the 5th person, counting another group of 5, grabbing that 5th person. That is systematic. All right, the third one, high school students of Kewaunee, Dane, and Chippewa counties. So I'm organizing the people by geography, where they live, and then I'm randomly selecting students out of those 3 counties. So that would be cluster. The next one, I have doctors across the United States and I grouped them by their ages. Well, first of all, I actually grouped them by their careers because I only want the doctors. Then after that, I grouped them by their ages and put them in categories, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, etc. That will be stratified. And finally, I used a computer program, generated a list of names. I don't know, maybe they're logins for something, and picked random people off the list. So that is random. So that's pretty much what your quiz is going to look like, is trying to figure out which one of these goes where. And that brings me to your quiz. Here it is. Keep getting those 80s. Do your best. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.